Hello guys, Charles is back, as I promised. Today I'm going to talk about something that is kind of academic. Um, this idea just pops into my mind that I would like to make a video, maybe a series of videos if it is successful, about the syllabus that I'm studying in. And in case you don't know, I'm studying in a British syllabus, which is IGCSE, and I want to make a video about revision or about the knowledge that I learn in classes, and just share it with you guys. And I hope it can be useful, especially when you are cramming for exam. And just take it. And today I'm going to try out with biology, which is a kind of interesting subject and one of my favorite subjects. So today I'm going to start with chapter 1, which is characteristics and classification of living things. Oh guys, honestly, this is not my favorite topic. Anyway, let's start. So first of all, let's talk about the characteristics of living things. All you have to know for the syllabus is Miss Nurge. It's an acronym for you to remember the 7 characteristics of living things. So they are: M stands for movement, R is for respiration, S is for sensitivity, N is for nutrition, and another E is for excretion, and another R is for reproduction, and then growth. So you have to remember the definition of all these 7 characteristics of living things, I am afraid, and which are movement, the action caused by an organism or part of an organism that causing a change of position or place. Respiration is chemical reactions that happen in cells that break down the nutrient molecules into something more, and then they release heat for metabolism. Sensitivity is the ability to detect and sense the stimuli in internal or external environment and then make appropriate responses. Nutrition is taking in materials for energy, growth, and development. For example, plants will require light, carbon dioxide, water, and ions. And animals will need organic compounds and ions, and of course they need water. Excretion as the removal from organisms of waste products of metabolism, toxic materials, and substances that are in excess of their requirements. Reproduction is the process that makes more of the same kind of species offsprings. And growth is the permanent increase in size and dry mass, and by increasing cell number or cell size or both. And now I'm going to talk about something more about classification. First, you need to know is organisms that are classified by groups by the features they share. And some terms you need to know is firstly species. Species is a group of organisms that can reproduce to produce fertile offsprings. But I noticed that this species have to be same kind, and when they reproduce, you cannot put zebra and a horse, and you want to produce a zebra horse. That's impossible. And another term is binomial system. It's an international agreed system in which the scientific name of an organism is made of 2 parts, which is showing the genus and the species. Yeah. The classification systems aim to reflect evolutionary relationships. And the classification, why we put all this kind of animals and that kind of animals into different groups. Well, one baseline is studies of morphology and anatomy. Those 2 words just means morphology, the overall form and shape of their bodies. Anatomies will just means detailed body structure, which should be determined by dissection. Now, Also, the sequences in the bases in DNA, which is A, T, C, G, and the amino acids in proteins are used to like group those animals in group the organisms in more accurate means. And then organisms, when they share more recent ancestors, for example, if their genus is the same kind, that means they are more closely related. Well, they will have like base sequences in DNA that are more similar. Now, I'm going to also talk about taxonomy. This could be remembered by an acronym. Again, acronym. King, Phil, can order, famous, glorious spaghetti. So here what it mean. King is for kingdom, phylum, phylum or phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Now, I'm also talking about the features of organisms, which took the main boredom part of this topic. So, there are 5 kingdoms: animals, plants, fungi, protista or protist, and prokaryotes. Now, the protista or protists are just the strange and unique and that stuff. I remember my teacher once told us that protists, they are just everything. Why? Because they are either multicellular or unicellular. And they have a nucleus. They may or may not have a cell wall. They may or may not have a chloroplast. They may feed by photosynthesis, or they can feed by eating other animals. So just forget it. Now, animals, they are multicellular and they have a nucleus. They can feed on organic substances made by other living organisms. Plants, they are multicellular. Instead of feeding on other animals, they have chloroplast, and they feed on photosynthesis. And some plants, they have roots, stems, and leaves. Fungi, they are usually multicellular also. They have a nuclei, and they have cell walls, but they are not made from cellulose. So they do not have chlorophyll because they don't have that chloroplast. They feed on saprophytic. Is that? Yeah, that's which is means by feeding on dead cell, or parasitic, which means just eating on a live cell. And prokaryotes are bacteria. They are unicellular. They have no nucleus, and they have cell walls, but also not made from cellulose, and they have no mitochondria. And now, animals are the kingdoms that we are focusing at. And inside animals, there are 5 phylum we need to look at. And there are vertebrates, arthropods, annelids, mollusca, nematodes, and it just sounds like I'm saying spells. But the letter 3 you don't need to remember. First 3 is the first two vertebrates and arthropods are the focusing ones. So vertebrates, which have fish, amphibians, reptile, birds, and mammals. I think most of you know what they are. Amphibians, in case you don't know, they are just think of frogs. They have moist skin. They lay eggs. They are both terrestrial and aquatic, depending on their stage of life. Reptile, they have scales, and they are cold-blooded, but they are terrestrial, and they lay eggs, but they are rubbery, not like birds. Birds have hard eggs. Okay, Anthropos may not be familiar by most people. Crustaceans are a group of anthropods. They have shell. They are unsegmented. They have more than 8 legs, and they are mostly marine. And arachnids, maybe arachnids. They are spiders. So they have 8 legs. They are terrestrial. Insects, they have 6 legs and 2 pairs of wings. They have antennae, and they are mostly terrestrial. Myriapods, they have millions of legs, and they have elongated segments, and which means they have many segments. Whew, we finished animal. Now, let's talk about the plant classification. Plant, we usually do 4, which is algae, moss, fern, and seed plants. Algae, just those plants living in sea. They are non-vascular, they are unicellular, and they are asexual. Another asexual plant is moss. They are non-vascular, but they are multicellular. Fern are non-vascular, multicellular, but they are sexual. And they have special leaves called fronds. They have rhizomes, which is their underground thing, and they reproduce by spores. But notice that fern is not as developed as seed plants because they don't have proper roots or vascular tissues. Now, seed plants, they are vascular, and they have roots, stems, and leaves. And further look down the seed plants, we have angiosperm and gymnosperms. Angiosperms just means flowering plants, and gymnosperms means non-flowering plants. And if you look at further down as angiosperm, we have monocots and dicots. Full name, monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocots just means they have one seed leaf. Some features you can tell by just looking at their plants. Monocots have parallel veins, while dicots have network veins. Monocots have sharp-shaped leaves, while dicots only have broad leaves. Monocots have flower petal multiples of 3, while dicots have flower petal multiples of 4 or 5. So, that's all. I finally finished! Thanks for listening for my lecture, my dumb conversation. I know that it is dumb and boring and too much information, but if you really want to cram exams, you have to do this, so don't cram it. Personal advice, don't cram for exams. Do your revision early. And anyway, I hope this video is helpful, and I hope you like me. And if you like this video, please thumb up, and then click subscribe down below. And the more subscribers, the more motivation I will get to make more videos and benefit the whole world. See you next time.